Hi, everyone, and welcome to our compassionate weekly accountability meeting. I'm Karina Aybar-Jacobs, psychotherapist, coach, and fellow cycle breaker. And today is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. I'm a mother too. And we are here to discuss something very delicate that I see coming up a lot, actually. And I witness how many of my clients, my members, they shut down almost when we start speaking about the mother wound. It's almost like it's very taboo. Don't touch, don't talk about it, don't touch that topic because it triggers a lot of guilt or a lot of anger. It is something that lives in many of us quietly and often shamefully. So let's define what the mother wound is. It is the pain, patterns, and unmet needs passed down from our mothers and often from their mothers, generation after generation. Not because our mothers were bad, but because they too were shaped by their own unresolved trauma, societal and patriarchal expectations, internalized shame and self abandonment, media and cultural pressures, especially around body image and emotional control. And I want to pause and ask you to check in. I'm on the lookout in the comments, as you know. Say hello. Let me know where you're joining from and whether this resonates with you. Basically, this is shaped by your relationship with your primary caregiver, which is often our mother or a mother figure. So, if your mother was unavailable, overburdened, dismissive, or critical, then that doesn't just disappear. It imprints in you. And I want to discuss how the mother wound shows up. Let's break some of the common ways the mother wound develops. And I actually had this conversation with my members during our live group call yesterday. For example, emotionally unavailable mothers. Maybe your mother provided for your basic needs, but when you were sad, anxious, or hurt, she shut down. You learned to suppress emotions or seek approval by overfunctioning. Another example is emotionally reactive mothers. If she panicked, criticized, or turned your emotions into her crisis, then you learned to downplay your pain. And you became the emotional caretaker, perhaps, or simply shut down. I've had clients that have shared with me and members that they rarely cried. And if they did, they really tried to brush it off and just gear up and, just be strong and deal with it because they were made to feel as if they were too sensitive or, you know, I'll give you something to cry about. They will receive that message. So imagine it didn't feel safe to cry and to be vulnerable. Another example is body shaming or appearance focused mothers. Did she obsess over her body or yours, your mother? This can lead to internalized body shame, disordered eating, and deep disconnection from your own body. Another example is hypercritical mothers. If nothing was ever good enough, then you may have developed perfectionism as a way of armoring yourself and believing your worth depends on performance. Another very common one is under resourced mothers, mothers in survival mode, often that couldn't handle being emotionally present. And many of us with single, working, or chronically ill mothers never got their full attention, basically. And it wasn't even our mother's fault. Not because they didn't love us, but because they were genuinely exhausted. And whether that was intentional or not, it still leaves an imprint and an impact on your self-worth. Does that resonate? Let me know in the comments. I will be on the lookout. Let me check. Let me know if this resonates. I would love to hear from you. Another example is emotionally shut down mothers. This is quite common because if she disassociated, gave the silent treatment, or withheld attention, you may have learned to never ask for help and become hyper independent as a way to protect yourself. And I see a comment. Let me see. Hello. Hi, Satilda. It's wonderful to have you back. Wonderful. Happy Mother's Day to you also. Wonderful. So let me know if this resonates because I want to pause here and acknowledge that so many of us carry this pain in silence. You might be grieving the mom you needed but never had. That grief is valid. And it's okay to say, I needed more. Do not downplay your pain. Also, many of us carry our mother's voice in our head, especially if we were criticized or controlled or guilt tripped. And these inner scripts, they become internalized shame. So I want to ask you, if you can write it in the comments, what were some of the things your mother said or implied that you still hear in your head? And what beliefs about yourself shaped those messages? Let me know what were some of the beliefs that were implied or were prescribed by your mother or mother figures or caretakers that still live in your head. I will be on the lookout in the comments. Okay, kudos to you if you share, because I am grateful that you are here taking some time out of your Sunday. And if you're watching the replay, thank you for being here. I want to give you an example. A message could have been, you are too sensitive. And that means that as an adult, now you cannot trust your emotions, right? That's the internalized belief. If I was told you are too sensitive, then you begin to not trust your emotions because maybe you are too much or maybe you are overreacting. Another common message, and we discussed this during our Self Worth Hub live group call yesterday within my membership, is this notion of you are the responsible one, you are the strong one, you're very mature, so you are the mature child. Then you could interpret this as an adult in your relationships as, my needs are a burden, other people have it worse, so I must be there for them, I can handle it. You see the cycle and the internalized messages. And I see a comment. Satilda says, thank you for sharing. Everyone has their own problems. Thank you for sharing. Absolutely. Absolutely. We all have our own challenges. However, we shouldn't downplay because it's very nuanced. Doesn't matter where you come from, your economic status, your family, your feelings are valid. But when you are told you are the mature one, you're the strong one, then all of a sudden you internalize this message that you must rescue other people. So you become the rescuer in your relationships. Let me know if that resonates, because this is very common among my clients and members. And I want to offer you some steps to begin healing this wound compassionately and at your own pace. Because something that I find is that when you have a mother wound and you become hyper independent, you want to just solve problems. You're very impatient with yourself, and that is not fair. This is an ongoing process. And evidently, this is an attachment wound with your mother, no matter how you identify. You could be a parentified daughter, you could be a parentified son, you could just be anyone, however you identify across the gender spectrum. The impact is all the same when you have a mother wound. So I want to offer, and thank you, Satilesi, that you commented that you resonated. So thank you for sharing. Okay. The first step that I want to compassionately offer you is to name your truth. I want you to vent about it without shame. I don't want you to compare yourself with other people, that other people have it worse, or, I understand that my mother had to work a lot. Hey, I can resonate with that. I am an immigrant. I have an immigrant mother who was extremely parentified, who is a lovely lady and who self sacrificed so much for her family. Sometimes I even get upset with my mom. Usually it's often about that. And in me, in doing this work and in helping facilitate this healing and growth for other folks, I've been able to improve and break the cycle and improve my relationship with my mom, who I love dearly. However, it's been really, really hard. It's been with a lot of boundaries and mirroring to her that it is not okay, that this is a pattern that has happened generationally, where we are handed these extra responsibilities, where we are not allowed to even vent because somehow we're being ungrateful. So I want you to feel free to vent without shame. Start by making space to write, to vent, or voice what actually happened or did not happen, privately, uncensored, because you're not betraying your mother. You're just telling the truth of your experience. And that doesn't mean that your mother is a bad person. Of course, I want to make a parenthesis because there are narcissistic mothers. There are very emotionally immature and abusive mothers. And what works with that is that we need to set very strong boundaries, sometimes even disconnect. And it's very painful to do. I will not sit here and say that it's easy, but that is what has worked with some of my clients, that they decide that based on the experience and the pain, they've had to distance themselves, unfortunately. But it's for the best because safety first, right? Very often, though, we carry a mother wound and we can still love, adore our mothers, but still resent the way that they show up because generationally they have internalized that and they pass it on even without intending to. So I want you to write about one, what you needed and did not receive. Two, what you felt around her, what you wish you could have told her. So write this prompt down. When I was a child, I wish my mother had said blank. Again, when I was a child, I wish my mother had said blank. Okay, write it down. Number two, another step that I want to offer you is to reconnect with your needs. I want you to check in with yourself. If your needs were ignored or punished, you probably learned to disconnect from them. So this week, start with one daily check in. Try it this week and identify what's happening in your body. What emotion is present? Ask yourself, what do I need right now? This could be a sip of water, or 5 minutes of rest, or emotional validation. Because reconnecting with yourself and your needs is reparenting in real time. So I want to pause, look at the comments, and ask you what you plan to do and when you're planning to check in with yourself. So let me know in the comments. I'll be on the lookout. This is how we reparent ourselves. This is how we rewrite the script. Another step, I believe this is number 3. The third step is to learn to ask for support. This is so hard, especially for my Parentified members. This one's tough for many of us. Trust me, I have struggled with that a lot. I still do. If asking for help felt dangerous or led to shame, we learn to do everything alone. But we are human, and humans are wired for connection. That's just proven. We are wired for connection. We thrive. I want you to start small. Ask a loved one to listen. Delegate one task. If you're a Self-Worth Hub member, I want you to post in the Self-Worth Hub and say, this is what I'm carrying today. Because these small acts, they teach your nervous system that support is safe and available with the right people. And I see a comment. Let's see. Ooh, thank you for sharing, Cecilda. You are saying, I plan to take at least 30 minutes to myself a day to just sit still. I love that. And I may borrow that. Cecilda, I love that. Thank you for sharing. Okay, let me know in the comments, what else are you planning to do this week? Let's see. I see some of you watching, so thank you for being here. Now, number 4, right? Let me know in the comments if I'm losing track. Step number 4 is to make space for anger and grief. Please make space for your anger. I often quote the great author and physician Gabor Mate, who says that people who develop cancer have a hard time expressing healthy anger. And I don't know if some of you know, but I am a breast cancer survivor. I've been in remission for 3 years, and I can relate to that to the core. And let me tell you, before doing this work, I think before my cancer diagnosis, heck, I didn't even curse at all. To me, that's like, ooh, that's inappropriate. And now I don't curse at people, but now like I allow myself to be upset and curse and write it down and be okay with the fact that I don't have to come off like this composed person, because I don't need to be a therapist 24/7. I'm allowed to be human. So I want to humbly invite you to do the same. I want you to experience your anger and grief. Let it out. And I see another comment. Let's see. Britlin, I hope I am pronouncing your name well. I plan to remind myself that I am lovable just the way I am. That's beautiful, Britlin. And I'm hoping that I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Welcome. I don't think we've met. So it's wonderful to have you here. Thank you for taking the time out for yourself, for sharing space with us. Okay. Grief is part of healing. So is anger. And notice that we often hold space for sadness, but not anger. You're not disrespecting your mother by acknowledging the impact of her pain. You are grieving, and you are giving yourself permission to feel. Practice sitting with this truth. I didn't get what I needed, and I am allowed to feel upset about that. Let the tears come, let the anger rise. Don't talk yourself out of it. That's not regression, that's release, and that is necessary. I want to, oh, thank you. Thank you, Britlin. Let me see. I want to make sure I'm not missing another comment. Okay. All right. Step number 5. I want you to consider this because, as I mentioned, we often witness our own mothers as someone who have been parentified, who have experienced a mother wound generationally. And we feel bad because we understand their trauma. And that is why we tend to downplay our own. However, it is important to metabolize what you are feeling. We cannot heal what we conceal. Step number 5 is to be the loving mother you needed as a child and even now as an adult. Now we come full circle. As adults, we have the power to mother ourselves consistently, lovingly, imperfectly. I want you to speak to yourself with kindness. And I love that some of you have already started. You are allowed to rest. You are not too much. You are safe now. And care for your body like a mother would. Feed yourself nourishing meals. Set loving boundaries. Make time for joy and softness and celebrate your progress, not just holding space for whatever is not going well, which I often witness my members and clients do. Have a good diet of nourishing, positive, and healing content as well. Because your mind, especially nowadays, in a world full of distraction and online content overload, I want you to prioritize your well being. And that is how we reparent ourselves. We often don't think that these small acts lead to compound and cumulative results. It is so important to nurture yourself with positive, nourishing content, information, loving boundaries, meals, loving people that deserve our attention and time, because this is an ongoing process. And please let me know in the comments if you have any questions or if there was anything that resonated deeply so far. Again, this is an ongoing process. Be patient with yourself. And you are already doing it by showing up here today. I want to honor your time, honor you for being here, for facing something that so many avoid. You are breaking cycles simply by becoming aware. And if today resonated with you, I want to invite you to download my Inner Child Reparenting Workbook, my gift to you. Okay? Don't have to pay anything. It's just for you to start the reparenting process, and I'll leave it in the description. Let me know what resonated the most. I'm looking at the comments. By downloading the Reparenting Workbook, you will walk away with some practical tools, affirmations, and some book references for you to continue on this journey, and a guide to setting healthy boundaries and becoming more assertive. This work of reparenting ourselves, it's ongoing. It is one of the most courageous acts that you can do for yourself, especially if you are carrying a mother wound. Again, let me pause. Let me know what you are committing this week. What are you committing for yourself this week? Because you're not alone. You're allowed to grieve and still love your mother. And you're allowed to reclaim what was always yours, your right to feel safe, loved, and whole, and angry. Again, if this spoke to you, let me know in the comments. Which step will you commit to this week? Which step? Let me know. Kudos to you if you do. Let's see. Anyone? Don't be shy. If you haven't, please subscribe so that we can see you here next Sunday. We are live every Sunday, usually 8 or 8:30 Eastern Time. Be on the lookout. I cannot wait to see you here again. I want to remind you to take care of yourselves and to please remember your resilience. Okay? Good night, everyone. It's always a pleasure to have you here. All right.